I am not complete.
Haunting Ground is a third-person survival horror game about a young girl who awakens trapped in a castle. Atmosphere. Haunting Ground's atmosphere has its ups and downs. When nothing is happening or during cutscenes, there's a feeling of dreamlike unease. The characters take long pauses when talking, odd and eerie music plays in the background as they do weird, bewildering things or allude to something that doesn't make any sense. Whilst never overbearing, this game does unexplained fear very well. Giant hulking statues made of earth, strange machinery, corpses just sitting in chairs, and other confusing things litter the game and often don't explain themselves, leaving the player to wonder. The camera angles have a tendency to face downwards, making main character Fiona seem small in this massive castle, and you get the feeling of dread as this seemingly never-ending castle keeps expanding around you. That's one Harry Mason. Scares. Where the game loses me is its encounters with enemies. Whilst the game has taken the defenseless approach where you can only really rely on your dog named Huey to stall the enemies while you try and find somewhere to hide or knock them out somehow, the process of running away from what's chasing you is more of a chore than anything. After the first encounter, for me, it stopped being frightening altogether. If Fiona's sanity or calm level gets too low, she loses her mind and starts running wildly, and you have to consume calming health items to return control to yourself. Again, I found this really irritating. If they'd just given you more hiding spaces and got you to hide to avoid enemies, then this would have been better. Ultimately, the chases are just irritating waste of potential. Other than that, the game doesn't really offer much else in that regard. That's one Harry Mason. Sound design. The exploring music consists of long ambient drone and this uneasy quality to it. Interjected with metallic scrapes and discordant warbles, it gives off a feeling of oppression. The chase music is really interesting. It sounds menacing and unhinged and speeds up and slows down based on whether the enemy has found you or not. The rest of the sound effects are very dreamlike, like the rest of the game. That's two Harry Masons. Gore. Not a lot of gore, but like many games, it didn't feel like there needed to be any. Any application of it would have broken its dreamlike quality. That's three Harry Masons. Story. From what I understood, Fiona and her parents are in a car crash and Fiona is the only survivor. When she awakens, she finds herself in a castle dungeon and after exploring, discovers she's the heir of the castle. Though obviously choosing not to become the castle owner, Fiona rejects it and the inhabitants take poorly to it. However, as the game progressed, I understood less and less of the story. The characters don't exactly spell it out, but it's hard to say keeping in mind the nature of this game whether that's a pro or a con. Whilst I think it works in regard of the game's atmosphere, it loses any deeper meaning that it had for me, making the final score 3 out of 5 Harry Masons. Haunting Ground is a mixed bag. On one hand, you've got this fantastic atmosphere, but on the other hand, you've got a confusing story and irritating chase sequences. Again, I'd like to remind you the whole thing is down to my opinion of horror games, and if you don't share this opinion, then that's cool. I get it. I'd like to point out that whilst I was totally lost for what was happening in this game, I did not scream like a banshee or run away from the computer, and I advise you don't either. There will be more horror reviews in the pipeline, and thanks for watching. And always go check out Bumps in the Middle of the Night. Peace.